Good evening. I am Matthew Mordavanik. Join me in search for the IydllBeast. What is the IydllBeast? It is a mythical creature which you guys would call Bigfoot. And we are here in the Southern California mountains, in the San Jacinto woods, close to the little sleepy town of Idlewild. And today we are going to look at a few sites. We are going to explore. We're going to tell some stories, some personal encounters, some stories that have been shared with me privately, some publicly shared stories. We're going to go to 3 or 4 different locations. We're going to talk about the history, and we are going to take a look around. And let's see if we can get to the bottom of this mystery of what is the IydllBeast. Our search begins here in the lovely little town of Idlewild, California. At roughly 5,000 feet, here in the San Jacinto mountain range, it's home to about 4,000 or 5,000 residents year-round, with many more people owning cabins and sharing this area. This is a unique mountain town because most of the towns that are in the mountains of Southern California, like Wrightwood or Arrowhead or Big Bear, are associated with skiing and snowboarding, versus Idlewild does not have any ski or snowboarding areas. So it's purely a town. It's an art town. They have the famous Jazz in the Pines and art walks and many types of shops and galleries and places to eat and craft breweries and wine stores and coffee shops and antique shops, hat stores, you name it. It's kind of just a neat, friendly little village of a town. Great place to walk around. Many cabin rentals up here. There's also the Idlewild Nature Center, Humber Park, lots of great hiking trails. I've been coming up here for 25 years, and there's always something new. There's always a new shop coming in. There's always a new restaurant. I'm always finding new trails and new areas I've never been to before, and it's just a great place. It's a great place in the summertime to kind of get away from the heat of the lower elevations. It's a great spot in the wintertime to come up and let the kids play in the snow and get a hot chocolate and check out the town. Things are a little slow during the pandemic, but it's nice to see the town is still getting by. There's plenty of cabin rentals, and you can get a place close to town in walking distance, or you can get a place more out in the woods. And it's really kind of an eclectic blend of people. Some of the locals, I will say, are quite colorful. And it's a mixture of shop owners, retirees, artists, people just trying to live their lives. And it's really a great town. You can see off in the distance there, Lily Rock. And then there's something that's kind of funny if you into Bigfoot and Sasquatch, the IydllBeast Research Center. Kind of like most places, it's kind of a joke. Hey, have you seen the IydllBeast? Have you seen Bigfoot? Oh yeah, it's around here. Oh, watch out, or the IydllBeast will steal your picnic basket or come look in your window at night. But like most places that treat Bigfoot like a joke, there's something really true going on up here. And I've had experiences, and let's go to our first stop. The first stop on our journey is Lake Fulmore. It's a man-made lake about 15-20 minutes north of town on Highway 243. It's really close to the Black Mountain, Fuller Ridge area, and it's a stone throws away from the Pacific Crest Trail. Now, there is a college research center that's all barbed wire off up here, and this is a very important spot for the animals of Idlewild, especially in summer. It does get very hot and dry in the 80s and 90s, and I'm sure everybody's heard of the classic California droughts that we've had, and there's always water in this lake, and it's a big source of water and pass through for these trails. We've had bears up here in recent years, and they've been spotted around this area. I've seen deers, I've seen coyotes here, and it's quite a popular day-use picnic area, which is also very important. Now, I have heard a couple of rumors from people who have also done research up here. I've never heard of direct stories, but I've heard of third-hand accounts of people having rocks thrown at them here, or having their coolers gone through while they went to the bathroom, or went back to their car. Because you can see on the other side of the lake, there's some more picnic areas over there. And it makes sense to me. It's really steep. There's lots of cover. There's huge rock outcroppings. It supports bear, deer, coyotes, raccoons. There's plenty of big fish in this lake. There's plenty of ducks. And like I said, in the dry season, this is a very important water source. And I've been coming up here for years, and it's normally very peaceful, but every now and then you find yourself that you're the only one in the parking lot. You come the right time of year, the right time of week, and the right time of day, and you find yourself you're the only one up here. And it's very quiet, very creepy. And the Fuller Ridge Black Mountain area, which we're also going to visit, which is right down the road from here, about 5 minutes down the road, less than that even, it has that kind of same feeling. It's just kind of something kind of uneasy and creepy, like you're being watched in the background. And there's certainly something going on. Now, interestingly enough, last year a big log fell across the trail, so you used to be able to walk all around this lake. Now there's a big log, and there are people kind of hilariously trying to cross it. So here's another view of the lake on a rock outcropping. Beautiful, pristine, calm day. And it certainly is an important watershed area. And I've heard third-hand accounts of things going on up here, and it certainly is a creepy spot. Just a stone throw away from beautiful Lake Fulmore is the Black Mountain Fuller Ridge area. This is probably 80 or 90% of the encounters and strange stories and phenomenon that's happened up here. Everything from missing people to interdimensional Sasquatch sightings. And I got to tell you, I was filming a few sections up here for this, and I got really started to get creeped out. I was by myself, completely alone. Here we are. We're a couple of miles in up Fuller Ridge. And I think I might as well tell you guys the first story. Fuller Ridge is really a central focal point of a lot of the things I've heard. Now, this is a road, it goes up, there are several campgrounds, rock climbing areas, and it connects to the Pacific Crest Trail that goes from Mexico to Canada. I've had at least 7 or 8 different people independently at different times contact me and tell me about strange stories up here. There's been multiple missing people in this area. There's been strange phenomenon. And one of the first stories I'll tell you is, this is a good spot to kind of show you, is this lady was up here with her husband. She stopped the car and she saw something up on a ridge very similar to here, like on a rocky outcrop. She saw what looked like a man, a big dark man. Then she got the binoculars out and she looked at it and realized it looked like a Bigfoot, like 7-8 feet tall, broad shoulders, huge. She was pointing and she's yelling at her husband saying, there it is, don't you see it? There it is. And he couldn't see it. She's like, it's right there on those rocks. He's like, I'm looking at the rocks, it's right there. And she could actually, it was a couple hundred yards away, hear it moving around. She could see trees shaking, and her husband said he could hear the sound and see the tree shaking, but couldn't see it. Now that's really bizarre sounding. Why would there be a creature? Is this lady hallucinating something? But if the rocks were making noises and the trees were making noises, and the husband couldn't see it, what would cause that? Now, a story on its own like this would just kind of be weird, but when you pair it up to all the other things I've heard, which we're going to get into here, it's definitely a place of high strangeness. I guess a gentleman came up here a couple winters back, ran out of gas and like left his car running. But if he was out of gas, why was the car running? And he tried to walk into town and no one saw him or heard from him for like a week. And then eventually they found his body, like froze to death. Now, what was he doing out here in the middle of winter? I think they ruled his death a suicide or something like that, but definitely had a lot of nuances of the missing 411 type cases. And those are just a couple of the stories I wanted to share. We're going to go on up to the campgrounds now to share you some more creepy stories that I've talked about. I guess this is as good a spot as any to get to the meat and potatoes of some of the strange things that have happened up here on Black Mountain, Fuller Ridge. So I was contacted by a lady a few years back, and this happened in the mid-90s. Well, first off, let me give you a little more context. Oftentimes, there's several campgrounds up here. They're almost always closed. I've been coming up here for 25 years. Very rarely have I ever seen these campgrounds open. And I have been up to the top of the ridge of the road that goes up. I didn't drive any farther. There's a locked gate up here, and this says locked gate down this road, which I guess I don't really need to explore any farther and get stuck in a spot that's hard to turn around. Also, pro tip, always back in so you can make a quick getaway if you got a Dukes of Hazzard out for some problems, trouble, weather, medical, whatever you got to do. It's just easier to back in and have your keys handy so you can just get out of here in a hurry. But so this lady contacted me. She wasn't looking to camp. She had her 2 kids with her. She was by herself. She was in her 30s. She describes coming up here to go camping for the day, just like hang out, picnic. She went up here. She went to a campground, very similar to this area. She got out and she kept hearing voices, muffled voices. She wasn't exactly sure what they were. And then she kept getting acorns thrown at her, which is very similar to experience I had with acorns being thrown at me. And as her kids are wandering around and they're looking around, she has this feeling of being watched. And several times she called out hello, and her kids are really little. And they're like, "Mom, who's she talking to?" She's like, "Oh, I just think there's somebody out here." And she told me that she didn't even realize till years later that it was something Bigfoot, something possibly even paranormal going on. She told me that she went off into the woods, kind of like I am now. She came to a spot right off the road down through the campground, and she found a bunch of bones hanging from a tree and a bunch of skulls and weird drawings in the ground. And they looked like deer bones to her. They looked like some dead birds, dead squirrels. And she got really creeped out. She thought, you kind of see the road closed sign up there. She thought maybe it was something like devil worshippers or something like that. But then she realized how high up the bones were in a tree. Like, they were really high up there to where an average human, even with a ladder, would have a hard time getting to. She continued. She got this really, really weird feeling of being watched, super creeped out. Her kids were oblivious. And then she decided to leave. Well, when she got back to her car, one of the doors was open on the car. Something had pulled some trash out of her car. And it was kind of dirt like this, so there wasn't really great footprints, but she could see big giant indentations, like something big and heavy had sloshed through and got into her car while they were distracted. But she also thinks there was multiple of them because the entire time she was there, she kept hearing voices. She kept hearing tree knocks. Occasionally she'd have an acorn thrown at him. When she got too close to the tree with all the animal bones hanging up in it, she got acorns thrown at her and a really creeped out feeling, and she heard tree knocks. And that was kind of with her the whole time. So when she got back to the car and one of the doors was open, she was really kind of freaked out, and the kids were, "What's going on?" And she just said, "Oh, it was probably somebody, a homeless person looking for something to eat." And she got out of there, and it really, really freaked her out. And I contacted her, talked with her a few times, and that's pretty scary stuff. I was also contacted a couple years back by another researcher that told me Black Mountain, this area, Fuller Ridge, that there's a clan of Sasquatch up here. And this insider, it's total rumor zone, so take it what you want, told me that there's a clan of Sasquatch. They've been here a long time, many generations. And that's why the campgrounds are closed, because there's lots of reports of people having their coolers gone through, stuff being stolen, I guess even broad daylight sightings. There's been multiple missing people up here. It's just a place of high strangeness. And I wanted to show you guys what this landscape is. Now, this mountain goes all the way up to the Pacific Crest Trail with great views. And they see lots of puddles of water. It's March right now. March, there could be 3 feet of snow, and no way I got in here, or 65 degrees like it is here. That's just mountains in Southern California. This is right around 5,500 feet.
But yeah, it's definitely lots of rocks and trees and outcroppings and lots of animal sign and scat. A new addition the last few years to this area is there are bears up here now. And if you could support a bear, you could support a Sasquatch. So that's a story I wanted to share with you about the Fuller Ridge area. I've had lots of reports, lots of comments. I've mentioned even offhand Bigfoot in the Idlewild area, and the first place that comes up is Black Mountain Fuller Ridge. And we're going to go visit some other spots too. So here we are at the Lawler Lodge is right up the road. So this is kind of a Lawler Ridge picnic day use area. I think they got enough warnings up there for snakes, the endangered frog, and can't get close to 10 feet of the water, and yada, yada, yada. By the way, for those who are wondering, the Forest Adventure Pass is something that's like $5 a day or $30 for a year. It's something if you want to park by the side of the road, or like at the lake we were at, or other places, you got to display it. Beautiful spot. In the springtime, there's tons of ferns and everything in here. Yeah, the cars going by. We're just going to take a quick look around. There's some picnic tables here, and that's important because I was contacted by a gentleman who went here with his girlfriend, and they had a little picnic. They were hanging out. It was during the week. I think he said it was like this time of year, like midwinter, but it was a nice day, very similar to this. Oh, sorry, trying to film and not fall down. And he said that he went to a picnic table. They got everything undone, and they went down to the creek to take a look. And when they came back, something had swiped their picnic basket, the Yogi Bear kind of stuff. And they didn't know what it was. There was no other cars parked up here. I think they said they went to the outhouse and then looked at the tree. They kind of left everything for like maybe 10 minutes or so. They didn't hear a sound, super quiet. But something with hands opened up their cooler. And a bear or something would knock over a cooler. Now, it could have been a homeless guy or something out here. Maybe, and that's probably a better answer. But this is maybe 5 minutes down the road from the Fuller Ridge area. There's all sorts of stop, don't go any further, protected signs. And sometimes this area is just flat out closed. And I always thought it was a beautiful spot. There's usually water here most of the year. Pretty hot and dry summers, you might find some puddles or if you dig down. But yeah, this is probably the spot. There's the outhouse. So, you know, from there to there, it's not very far. So to go to the outhouse to the creek and come back, something would have had to been very fast and very sneaky to go in there. I think they said they had a couple apples or something that was stolen out of there. They said it didn't touch their sandwich, which he thought was odd. These have been up here for 15 years as endangered species habitat. Someone thought it would be funny to shoot it with a pellet gun. Where that is up there, huh? Little plant somebody stuck up there. But yeah, it's a beautiful little stream. Oh no, don't get within 10 feet. Break the rules a little bit and get kind of closer. There's so much leaf litter that I don't think you'd find tracks here, although that's a completely independent another story of the guy who had his picnic basket gone through, that some kids were down here and they found some really odd bear footprints, like as in not wearing any shoes type bear, not bear as in animal bear, of course. But maybe certain times of year or whatever, there's so much pine needle litter, I don't see how you could find prints, but you know, more circumstantial evidence. Definitely good, clear running water. If you had a robust immune system, you could probably drink it. Gorgeous area. Tons of rocks. Rocks for throwing, rocks for hiding behind. This is another little spot of intrigue. So, just wanted to share that story with you guys. Watch out for the endangered frog. Hey guys, check this out. So this is a grill next to the benches. You can see there's grease, like bacon grease or hamburger grease. Lots of little indentations. and marks in it, like something was going through it or licking it or clawing it, pawing it. And then I'm like, look at that. Coyote or fox or raccoon, something got up there and said thank you for the fat. But little stuff like that you guys need to watch out for. Oh, some firewood left over. Oh, the rocks, the hiding places. With a ridge over there. Absolutely incredible. All right, folks. Let's check out another site. Hey, everybody. We're at beautiful Lake Hemet here, and I wanted to tell you one more story. Now, we're quite a bit away from Fuller Ridge. As you can see, here's the big lake. Up along that ridge there is Thomas Mountain Road. It goes way back in the hills. I'd have to take the truck for that one. But this mountain range continues all the way back down to this to Mountain Center, to Idlewild, to Fuller Ridge, Black Mountain area, all the way down. And it's just a sea of mountains. Lots and lots of space for big critters to hide. I've seen multiple mountain lions up here. I've seen lots of coyotes. There's a small populations of bears that live up here. So this was an old story from the BFRO, and I've heard a couple different versions of it. But apparently there was a couple came to this very spot late at night, and they were sitting in their car, having a drink, whatever, hanging out in their car, and parked behind them was a dumpster. And they're sitting in their car, the windows down, nice summer night, and they saw something huge, 8 feet tall, very broad-shouldered, lift up the dumpster. And they heard something going through it, and they could see in the mirror, and they could look behind them, and they saw this huge critter, huge bipedal man-like beast, a Sasquatch, going through the dumpster. And I guess when they started the car, turned the headlights on, it dropped the lid and ran off. There's a few different versions of the story, but that's basically the gist of it. And from mountain lions I've seen from Thomas Mountain, having a water source stocked with fish, there's a campground over here, lots of picnic baskets, lots of trash cans. During the summer, this place is packed. You just believe how much trash and things there is to forage through, not to mention natural food sources and water. So it just seems like this whole mountain range is a prime candidate for these Sasquatch creatures. Now I can just imagine being out here at night, coming down with a girlfriend or something, hang out by the lake, get some fresh air, and seeing that creature. Because you got to remember, most people aren't necessarily interested in the subject. It takes them a minute to figure out what that is, and I can't even imagine. That's really scary, but I've spent a lot of time hiking and going through the woods here. There's a big dam down on the other end over there, and you guys can see the lake. Now, there's no boating in this lake. I think a few years ago they started letting kayaks in and stuff like that, but definitely seems like it would be a good spot for them to forage and go through stuff. Lots of fishermen, steal a stringer of trout, what have you. I think at night this is probably a really prime place because they could get really close to people, and there's lots of cover, the cover of darkness, lots of trails, easy coming and going, concrete, asphalt, a lot easier to stay quiet on than say like a trail. So I think it's a really interesting area, and it's an area I've been to many times. I've been fishing at this lake, and that's a story I wanted to share with you folks tonight.
So, does the IydllBeast, a Sasquatch-like creature, roam the woods of the San Jacinto mountain range? I think so. From my own personal experience many years ago at my parents' cabin, of something thumping on the wall in the middle of the night and growling at me and freaking my dogs out, to the next day to having my 2 dogs, a golden retriever and a beagle, being so scared they didn't even want to leave and having acorns thrown at us, to other times hearing strange noises and just seeing strange things in the woods. That set me on my path today to discover what the paranormal world and especially Sasquatch is all about. And when you combine that to sightings of the Yucca Man near 29 Palms, which isn't too far away, Dogman sightings that have happened all in the high desert and Palm Springs area. The next door mountain range is the Big Bear Arrowhead area, and they've had lots of sightings. It kind of paints a whole picture that, yes, these things are in this area. They may be migratory. They may be a resident population, but they seem to be here. And every now and then, when everything's right, you might catch a glimpse of them, or you might be part of a paranormal experience. Stay safe in the woods, folks.